someone comes to ask me and I have to say it really quickly, you know, it's like, what do you like? I'm like, well, it's kind of rock and roll violin in a way. It's taking what people think of the violin, like out of what people think the violin normally does, away from that kind of thing, and putting it in, you know, a more pop or rock and roll kind of scenario. We have drums and we have the guitar and the bass going at once, and we're just rocking out in the front.
It's one of your greatest strengths and one of your greatest weaknesses being unique, because it's hard to say, well, it's sort of this violin thing and it's, you know, it moves sort of like a dance thing and we sing. We play music from all around the world. No, it's not classical, but sort of. And then we play jazz and folk and rock, and so it is a product you have to see even a few minutes of to understand. But it's a very high energy show. That's why the name Barrage, sort of coming at you. We just got creative with having fun with music and playing different styles, and we have a blast.
It's like a really great group. Like, it's not something boring like you fall asleep at a concert at, but it's something like you can dance to and you can get into it.
It's just really neat how they can get so into it and just like jump around and dance, because if you've ever tried holding an instrument and jumping, your bow gets bouncy and it's really difficult, but for them to have mastered it and them being as young as they are, it's really neat.
We play 40 weeks a year around the globe, played in 20 countries, and you know, there's always there's holes in your schedule, you know, Mondays and Tuesdays especially, but there's just holes, and you know, we like to, you know, this is a young troupe, we like to play all the time. So what we do is when we have a hole and we're touring, what we do is put out the word now it's easy because by email, and to, you know, people that we know are good string teachers. There's a lot of great string teaching going on in America and Canada, and so we send out the word, and the real keen ones write us back, and if we can find a date that works, then we come.
I was pretty amazed. I mean, the orchestra program's really grown, and it's, you know, nationally recognized really, and so somewhere there they must have heard about our program and our parents and, you know, what we do here. So I was pleasantly surprised to get the phone call for our students to be able to participate with them and put on this show.
They're a very world-renowned group, and it's amazing that they're here and they're playing with us.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it, because, you know, they're really good, and, you know, you wouldn't think we would get to play with them.
This is just something they're not used to seeing and being around. And it does look fun. Doesn't it look fun? Yeah, they're just sitting there going, wow, maybe I could do that one day, you know? Or I want to do that one day. I think that's what it is.
Really, you know, this is where all our players come from. They come from these type of situations. So it's good for us to get back to our core fan. And it's fun for us because this is where we started, you know, and we don't get to work with young string students much anymore. So it's good, you know, we get to come out and the players get to sit in, and it kind of, like, who doesn't like their school days? 1, 2, 3, 4. Start that again. One more time. I want that stronger. I know you're trying to be quiet, but that's too quiet.
Our management, especially John Crosman and Dean Marshall, Dean Marshall writes the music, they have always been educators, and Barrage came from a more educational standpoint at first, and it's kind of progressed from there.
That's right. Keep it moving!
You know, we've not forgotten that it was initially that kind of thing, an educational program, and now we've kind of gone back to the roots. Our show has kind of gone back to the foundation as well, and in doing that, it's make it easier to bring into into school auditoriums and play for kids.
Are we all ready? Here we go. Seconds, come on.
I know John has a rush conducting for them all because he's there to really drive their performance. And so he comes off kind of buzzing.
More. Yes.
When they were up here on the stage behind them and they're playing their piece and they brush, folks start walking up behind them and mingle, intermingling with them. They could just see the kids, this electricity sort of start.
I need more viola. Come on, Alicia.
It was great.
Ready, 1, 2, ready, go. Yes.
And the old Joe Clark, when they're all up there and they've got the drummer going and, it's awesome. It's really awesome.
Keep the weight on the string. Keep the weight on the string.
My husband's in my feeder school, which is very nice.
Frog, frog. I think it's a great combination. I mean, I wish there was more situations like that because there's obviously a very good synergy both there in the schools and at home. But yeah, I mean, you can see the feeder programs here, what's happening at the high school level. I went to work with them today and there wasn't a lot to do. They had prepared them so well that it was, all we're doing is getting them to be a little bit more lively. One thing I forgot to tell you about this piece is that we actually learned it in Scotland from an accordion player. So one of the great things about traveling around the world with Barrage is that we pick up music everywhere we go. Great. And that's what's cool. The reason we wanted in Barrage, the whole purpose was to play violin music from around the world. So that's why you see here Celtic music, obviously. Klezmer music's in the show, gypsy music's in the show. We have Latin music in the show, and so on and so on. Like I said, not necessarily learned from violin players. You'll see a big band piece later in the show called Sing, 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 which is actually Benny Goodman. We learned that one because it was the 50th anniversary of the war in Canada and they asked us to play music relevant to the occasions. And that's sort of what we try to do in Barrage everywhere we go. When we're in China, you'll hear some Chinese pieces that we picked up in China. Great, well folks, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to hearing it tonight with all the crowd full. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be very exciting.
often the question that gets asked at the beginning is like, who's heard of Barrage? Sometimes not many kids have, right? And they're just like, okay, you know, that's fine. And then they get this energized rehearsal and they're like, oh yeah. And then they see the show and they're just gushing, and then they're like, wow, this is, I never thought I could do this, you know, I'm going to go home and I'm really going to practice, and their eyes become saucers, you know, when they think about the violin. It's a whole different experience.
There's so much energy that, like, when you play, you just have so much fun.
I think string players just get a real lift from something like Barrage, and you know, they send them back to their orchestras with a new energy, and it doesn't really matter what style of music you're playing, you know, it's just about having fun with your music and communicating with the crowd.
I'm really interested to see, I think, what it's going to do, how it's going to shape our program or change our program in the future. I mean, now, for me too, because I haven't done this type of music that much, very little. And I think it's going to change the way we do things and the way the kids will look at this music and want to do it. So we're going to start, we already decided we're starting our fiddle group before school, you know, we're going to get it going on.
Hopefully this will just be the beginning of opening a door basically, where we can keep on doing this year after year, and maybe not with Barrage, but other groups like them that do the same thing and have more exciting music.
I think it's fundamentally there to be an inspiration and kind of a renewal of you know, their studies in a way, because you can get lost in your scales and things, and you just sometimes you have to have something come along just to renew your passion, and I think that's what Barrage does.
We have two members that came out of school systems that we went and played at when, you know, like 8 years ago. So absolutely there could be future Barrage people. There's many students in this group that if they want to stick with it could do it, for sure.
It's changed my life, and I think it changes people in the audience. People come and see Barrage, and it changes their opinions of what the violin can be. You know, it really opens people's eyes.